Hello viewers, my name is Ibukun Olukorede. I'm a 300 level student from the Faculty of Law, University of Ibadan. I am also an undergraduate intern at HARLEM solicitors. Within the next few minutes, I'll be discussing the principles regulating interconnections of telecommunications network in Nigeria. Before I start, have you ever wondered how it is possible for a MTN network user to be able to call an Airtel network user considering the fact that they are different networks? Well, what makes that possible is known as interconnection. Section 157 of the Nigerian Communications Act defines interconnection as the physical and logical linking or connection of telecommunication systems used or operated by the same or different licensees in order to convey messages to and from respective systems for the provision of services. Simply put, it is an arrangement between a service provider and another service provider that enables a customer using a network to be able to communicate with another customer using other networks. Telecommunications in Nigeria is regulated by a number of laws, but the principal legislation in matters relating to telecommunications is the Nigerian Communications Act 2003. Bringing it down to interconnection. Interconnection is also regulated by a number of regulations and guidelines such as the Telecommunications Network Interconnection Regulations 2007, the guidelines on the procedure for granting approval to disconnect telecommunications operators 2012, the guidelines on technical standards on interconnectivity of network, as well as the guidelines on international gateway access and voice over internet protocol. It is important that I state that before interconnection can take place, there has to be an interconnection agreement between two service providers. This interconnection agreement must be in compliance with the provisions of the Act, subsidiary legislation, as well as some principles. These principles are what I will be explaining subsequently. The first principle is the principle of transparency and cost orientation. Telecommunications companies or service providers charge a certain sum for calls terminating on their network. This sum is known as interconnection charges or interconnection rates. The principle of transparency and cost orientation aims to ensure that service providers do not arbitrarily charge high sums for these calls terminating on their network. And to uphold this principle, there is the model interconnection offer by the Commission that sets minimum standards and terms that are expected in an interconnection agreement. In fact, Section 97, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Communications Act 2003 provides that where an interconnection agreement is inconsistent with the provisions of the Act, the Commission may intervene on its own volition or at the instance of either or both parties to make a binding decision. Moving on, we have the principle of non-discrimination. Discrimination can occur in telecommunications where a service provider refuses to interconnect with another service provider for reasons other than the ones provided under Section 5 of the Telecommunications Network Interconnection Regulations 2007. Another instance of discrimination may occur in telecommunications where there is cross-subsidization. Cross-subsidization in telecommunications is a practice where a service provider is highly charged for facilities or services being rendered to another service provider who is charged with a lesser sum. Moving on, we have the principle of neutrality. The principle of neutrality and the principle of non-discrimination, they work hand in hand and they aim to ensure that consumers are not at the mercy of telecommunications companies by ensuring that service providers are not selective in the data they transmit. Moving on, we have the principle of fair competition. The principle of fair competition aims to ensure that service providers do not engage in anti-competitive practices that may prejudice other service providers. This is to provide a friendly atmosphere, that is, an environment that is devoid of unhealthy rivalry. The next principle is the principle of universal coverage. The principle of universal coverage seeks to ensure that everybody, irrespective of their income or location, have access to telecommunication services at reasonable prices. This principle is backed up by Section 1 of the Nigerian Communications Act 2003, as well as Section 84 of the Universal Access and Universal Service Regulations 2007. The last principle is the principle of access to information. The requesting party, that is the service provider that is seeking to be interconnected, is obligated to provide relevant documents or information that would facilitate the interconnection process. Without adequate information or documents, it will be impossible for interconnection to take place. Finally, it is important that I state the benefit of interconnection. Interconnection is necessary because it eliminates the need for subscribers to subscribe to multiple networks in order to communicate with people using other networks. For more information on telecommunications law, kindly visit our website at www.harlemsolicitors.com and our LinkedIn page at Harlem Solicitors. Thank you.